Good morning, Central Valley. You're looking live from our Hedrick Chevrolet Skycam in Clovis, looking towards Fresno State at Highway 168 and Shaw Avenue. Beautiful blue sky there over the Save Mart Center on your right. Temperatures already on the climb on a weekend where they're just going to climb possibly up to the triple digits, right, Ruben? Developing news now out of Massachusetts, where the mother of the little girl known as Baby Doe is now being charged as accessory after the fact in the girl's murder. Prosecutors charged Rochelle Bond last night and also filed murder charges against her boyfriend, Michael McCarthy. Bella Bond would have been almost 3 when someone found her remains in a trash bag in Boston Harbor 3 months ago. Before that, the Department of Children and Families visited the family 4 times to investigate allegations of neglect. Social workers took away 2 other children before Bella was born.
83 days after we found this little girl on the shoreline, we're at last able to speak for baby Bella. Now we will give her justice.
Baby Doe, her identity remained a mystery for those 80-plus days. An artist's rendering of her likeness caught the attention of millions after the child's body was found in June. The San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department is investigating the shooting by a deputy who opened fire on a home invasion suspect from a helicopter. Sheriff's deputies were following the suspect from the air as he led them on a high-speed chase. When he started driving against traffic on a freeway, they tried to stop the vehicle by shooting it. After the deputy fired at least 1 shot, the suspect jumped out of the car. He walked a short distance, then collapsed and died. The driverless vehicle then crashed head-on into an SUV. Investigators say they don't know yet whether the suspect was hit by a gunfire or if he died from injuries he suffered by jumping from his vehicle. 3 people in the SUV were hospitalized. A hydroplane driver ended up in the hospital after this. Whoa, his boat flipped during a race in Mission Bay. The race was part of the festivities for the San Diego Bay Fair. The driver was not ejected from the boat. Very lucky, as it landed right side up. He was conscious, but he was taken to the hospital for a possible back injury. A scary scene in Pennsylvania as an RV covered in flames slowly rolled down a busy street in Mount Pocono with an unconscious woman still inside. Pocono firefighters say the RV caught fire and then the brakes went out. As the flames spread, the SUV being towed by the RV broke off and hit a parked car, catching that on fire too. The driver got out, but his girlfriend was still inside the RV until a Good Samaritan rushed right into the flames.
I ran inside, and it was so toxic. I went to my knees. I couldn't see in front of me. And then finally I felt her leg. The woman was unconscious. So I picked her up and I drug her all the way to the front of the RV. And the flames were within about 2 feet of her inside.
In all, 4 vehicles burned, but nobody was badly hurt. The RV's owner says he didn't even know he was driving a Fireball until he noticed smoke coming out from the back. 3 felons with bad spelling skills are under arrest, accused of pretending to be sheriff's deputies while invading people's homes and robbing them. The suspects are believed to have specifically targeted locations with marijuana grows. Detectives searched an SUV believed to be associated with the robberies and found a pump-action shotgun hidden under one of the seats, along with ammunition. They also found a possible tip-off to the victims that these were no sheriff's deputies. 2 green flight suits with Fresno Sheriff stenciled on the back, the word sheriff missing an F. Warren Garcia worked as a deputy bailiff for several years here at this courthouse, but tomorrow he'll be a defendant here. And police say the victim got a lot of evidence that's going to be hard to refute. It's a story you will only see on Action News. Rex Garcia lived a life in law enforcement, retiring in 2013 at the age of 69. As a sheriff's deputy in the courtroom, he kept control for Judge R.L. Putnam. But 2 years after his retirement, Garcia's background was a concern to Fresno police investigating him.
The information we originally had received is that he was prior law enforcement and that he always carried guns, and it was absolutely true.
Police say Garcia didn't put up a fight when they arrested him this month. The charges involve sex crimes against a young girl. Crimes prosecutors say dragged out over a few years, including while Garcia was still a sheriff's deputy, but out of the courtroom on a medical leave of absence. Investigators say the victim and her father thought Garcia's background would protect him against the accusations, so they set up a video camera and caught him in the act while the girl was sleeping. They think Garcia may have even realized he was being watched.
He is observed going through a pile of clothes in the room, pulling out some clothing and putting it over the camera.
I talked to Garcia's attorney this afternoon. He said Garcia denies the allegations, and he also brought up what could be an interesting complication. He said it might be hard to find a courtroom in this courthouse where Garcia can face a trial because he worked with so many of those judges up there. Live in downtown Fresno, Corin Hoggard, ABC 30 Action News. Happening now, more than 53,000 Seattle area students are getting another day off as a massive teacher strike continues for a second week. The union representing the 5,000 teachers still hasn't landed a deal with the district. Administrators want to add 20 minutes to the school day, so the teachers are fighting for more pay. Union officials say weekend negotiations were productive, but it's unclear when a final agreement could come down. The teacher strike is the largest in the U.S. since a massive strike in Chicago back in 2012. Action News time is just about 6:11. Time for an AccuWeather forecast from Shelby Latino. And instead of ash and haze, I finally saw blue skies and then stars in the sky. And now we're actually going to have temperatures going down. Shelby, you get all the credit.
Yep, you're welcome.
Well, as you consider your voice and your vote, the Republican presidential candidates are on the move this morning, getting ready to head west. They're gearing up for the second debate of the campaign season coming up on Wednesday in Southern California. As ABC's Richard Cantu explains, many of the candidates spent the weekend in Iowa trying to gain ground against Donald Trump. Thank you, Bozzy. Well, we're hearing more from people who say parts of a plane dropped out of the sky and landed on their central Fresno neighborhood. You can see the damage left behind near Swift and Barton, including that shattered car window. A spokesperson for the Federal Aviation Administration says a twin-engine jet took off from Fresno Yosemite International, then reported a left engine failure and returned to the same runway. It appears some of the engine parts fell off the plane during that time. One woman says she heard a loud boom that shook her house just before debris dropped out of the sky.
So I came out to check everything out, and then I turned around and looked at my car, and I had a hole in the back again. The windshield was busted out.
Regardless of where the metal came from, we're definitely very fortunate that no one was injured today.
Fresno police officers came and collected chunks of metal, but they say the residents had already gathered up most of the pieces, so they were handed over in bulk. Neighbors say the plane parts were very hot to the touch initially. They'll now be turned over to federal investigators to figure out exactly what happened. Happening now, a county clerk in Kentucky is back at work after serving jail time for refusing to issue marriage licenses to same-sex couples. Rowan County Clerk Kim Davis said just a little while ago she won't interfere, but also won't authorize same-sex marriage licenses. The deputy clerk says he will keep issuing marriage licenses despite Davis's objections. Reporter Chris Welch shows us why Davis says this whole showdown hasn't gone the way she wanted.
As ideal. Lana Zach, ABC News, New York.
Vanessa Williams clearly saving the best for last.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
There was a strange moment from the pageant, and it's going viral this morning.
Yeah, during the question and answer portion with the winner, Miss Georgia, take a listen.
New England Patriots quarterback Tom Brady was suspended for his part in the so-called Deflategate scandal, then instated by the courts. Legalities aside, did Tom Brady cheat?
Did he cheat? That's a really good question. I'm not sure. I think I'd have to be there to see the ball and feel it and make sure it was deflated or not deflated. But if there was question there, then yes, I think he cheated. If there was any question to be had, I think that he definitely cheated and that he should have been suspended for that. That's not fair.
All right, the winner said after the show that she really had no idea what she was talking about and says she really thought she blew that portion of the pageant.
That was the second time they asked her the same question, too. She asked for them to repeat it so she could buy some time.
Well, you can check out the butter sculpture, Buttercup, at the Tulare County Fair. It's part of the Land O'Lakes exhibit, of course. The fair opens each day at 11 a.m. and continues through Sunday.
Hopefully it's right next to a toast exhibit.
Yeah, that's right.